After traveling the world, I've filmed cities from Calcutta to Lisbon, but never my own neighborhood. Here, my land, trend magnet, artist hub, and home to hidden histories, Jews, Greeks, Poles, and artists and dreamers. My friend Leslie does walking tours of Jewish Montreal. With Leslie as my guide, I get to be a tourist in my own hood. I'm traveling within my own neighborhood.
There's things in your backyard that are quite fantastic.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Sujata.
Do you dream of hitting the open road?
Of the adventures and eclectic people you run across on the way? Are you waiting for the right moment, the right shot of courage?
I thought that. In 2016, I had a stroke. But then, in 2022, we got married, and now we're traveling the world, enjoying adventure and romance.
Welcome to my land, a Montreal neighborhood that speaks mostly French, yet switches to English without missing a beat. Nearly 3/4 of us are bilingual or polyglots, and the streets are made for walking. In fact, this is one of the most walkable neighborhoods in Canada. But what makes my land truly unique are the people who call it home. Their stories are written in our synagogues turned churches, our cafés, our bakeries, and the murals that color the alleys. Today, we will uncover the layers of a place where history, culture, and everyday life share the same sidewalks. So I enlisted Leslie into my project. Leslie does walking tours of Jewish Montreal, and he is a former resident.
Well, I used to live in this area in a number of various flats or houses, and that was one of them. I lived there maybe 40 years ago for about 2 or 3 years, and at that time, the rents were much cheaper than they are in this area now.
When I first arrived, my land was shifting from an immigrant stronghold to haven for starving artists. Then, the rents climbed, and the bohemians gave way to the bobo, the bourgeois bohème, as we call it here. It's still vibrant, still home. But today, we're listening to the stories of those who were here long before the hipsters. Milan's Jewish story has 2 threads: the Hasidim, who are still here in large numbers, and the earlier Jewish immigrants who came here in 2 waves, once in the 1880s fleeing pogroms, and once in the aftermath of World War II. The remnants of these Jews are all over the neighborhood. A poignant example is this, the Collège Français.
We're standing in front of the old B'nai Jacob synagogue. It's that round structure you see up way behind me. And that building was originally built in the 1920s for the synagogue. It remained a synagogue until the mid-1950s. And the building eventually was sold. It became the Collège Français, kind of like a secondary French language school. And they managed to destroy the front facade built around it, as you could see. And all that was left is the roof line, which still has Hebrew writing on it. During the 1940s and 50s, this synagogue had a tremendous, a lot of people worshiping here. And they had a lot of world-famous cantors who would come here to perform. And during the 30s, 40s, it was the heart of most of the Jewish area of Montreal. Most of the Jewish people lived within about 10 blocks of this synagogue, I would say, in all directions. We're standing in front of the former Nisakari synagogue, and this was a shul built in the 1940s, one of the first synagogues built in Montreal after the Second World War. And it remained a synagogue, a house of Jewish worship, until about 30 years ago. At one time, there was a huge Jewish presence in this area, and over the years, most of the Jewish people moved away. They moved further north or further west to more affluent areas.
But while many of these earlier Jewish families moved onward, another Jewish world remains very present here. It's the Hasidim. With their unmistakable appearance dressed in the bourgeois fashion of Poland in the 18th century, they are one of Milan's fixtures. 4 main Hasidic groups trace their roots to Poland, Lithuania. They speak Yiddish and follow strict Shabbat rules, including not using electricity on Saturday, meaning synagogues and religious schools are scattered across the blocks because they can't drive to them on Saturday. And their institutions, schools, synagogues, and businesses find themselves in houses and abandoned buildings.
It's a rabbinical court, but it's not used very often. But if someone has a question about whether a pot is kosher or something went into it that shouldn't have, I suppose they would come here and ask the experts. We're standing in front of the Bubov Shul, which is another house of the Hasidim. We spoke about that before a bit. And this was actually a converted house. It was originally a house. And then they expanded it, and it caused a lot of problems. A lot of the neighbors didn't want the synagogue being expanded, and it was in the news for a long, long time. But eventually they were able to expand their synagogue.
Milan streets are lined with buildings that have changed hands as new communities arrived. Greeks, Poles, Ukrainians, Romanians, many of them even swap places of worship.
So I'm standing on the stairways of St. Marika Church, a Greek Orthodox church. Very, very ornate, very fancy inside. Now, during the 1940s, this building was a Jewish synagogue, a house of worship. Café Israel synagogue, and before that it was a house that was converted to become a synagogue. In the late 1960s, the building became a Catholic church, a French Catholic church. In the 1980s, it again changed hands and became the Greek Orthodox Church that it is today. And when it became a Greek Orthodox Church, the entire facade was changed. So all the markings of the Catholic Church and the synagogue were all removed or erased. None of it really, you cannot see any of it. In the last 80 odd years has been like 3 different houses of worship, all praying to the same God.
The Ukrainian Federation occupies another former synagogue.
This building was built during the early 1900s as the Fairmount Methodist Church, and it remained a Methodist church until about 1927. So the building was sold, and it was sold to the Heber Kadisha congregation, and they changed it. They made it look very, very different, and it was used as a synagogue until about the 1950s, 1957 or thereabouts, and they sold it. Eventually the Ukrainian community bought it, and they made it into their Ukrainian Cultural Center.
Another example is St. Michael's and St. Anthony's. Built for the Irish, but in a Byzantine style, it's now a Polish church.
Montreal has 2 language communities, the English and the French, and the area that we've been in the whole time is between the 2 areas. Going in that direction, going west, is where the English community had historically lived, and going east in that direction is where the French community historically lived. And in between them was an area of maybe 10 or 15 blocks, which was always where immigrants moved to.
Nothing, says Milan, like bagels. 2 bakeries, Fairmount and Saint Viateur, fuel a rivalry that defines Montreal's style. every visitor must pick a side. When I stopped by, though, a group of Americans were eager to share some, controversial opinions about whose bagels really reign supreme.
And anything New York City has great that.
You're sorry, Candace.
I'm whispering this.
It's opened in 1956 by a man called Meyer Lefkowitz, who was a Holocaust survivor. And they've been making bagels here since 1956. Two of the workers take it carried to a table where they cut it into strips, and then they roll the strips, shape it into the bagel shape, like it's like a donut basically. Then they put the rolled raw dough into a kettle of honey water where it's boiled. Then they take it out, put it on big boards, put it into a wood-burning oven. Then they take it out. Then they have these hot, crispy bagels. Then they dip it into some sort of seeds, poppy seeds, sesame seeds, and then they're very piping hot.
And bagels are just the beginning. Walk a few blocks and you're in Greece, Poland, at least when it comes to the table.
And there are many, Greek restaurants around this area, Greek churches. And if you go along Park Avenue, you'll see a lot of restaurants that have green, blue on the outside, a reminder of the Aegean Sea, that is all around Greece. And if you want, souvlaki or baklava or pastistio, Greek specialties, you can certainly get them along Park Avenue.
The Poles left their mark too. At Eurobattery, you'll find pierogis, dumplings, and sweet cherry desserts, simple, hearty, and unforgettable. Just a handful of tables, no fanfare, but always a good meal. These traditions still anchor Milan, even as the streets around them change and rising rents push away long-time residents. One of Milan's attractions is the iconic Italian cafe.
So here we are with this Café Olimpico in the background, or as we locals like to call it, open the night. And the reason why is that there used to be a sign that said open day and night, and the Y kind of fell off. So locals we've known this for like 20 years as open the night. But to tourists, Café Olimpico.
I want to add that in this area on the street here in San Diego, I used to live here, and there were none of these trendy shops that are here now. It was mostly butcher shops, barber shops, little grocery stores, and there were no young people here, all family.
In Milan, the alleys and streets are full of color. A few summers ago, the city introduced sidewalk terraces, not just for restaurants, but as spaces for everyone to enjoy the season. From croissanteries to cafés, these bistro tables have turned Milan's streets into open-air living rooms. Milan's alleys are also worth walking. Some residents even turn the street into a work of art. Dragon Flowers transforms the street into a romantic flower garden. Art is everywhere here, in cafes, on walls, in gardens by the train tracks. That creativity spills over not just in the gardens and murals, but in music, sculpture, and theater everywhere you turn. The Rialto Theatre is an important community landmark, inspired by the decor of the Paris Opera House. At the Café Dépanneur, the cafe functions as a sort of community arts center.
Our cafe's been here since 2001, so it's approaching its 25th anniversary, and just being kind of an old neighborhood touchstone like this means that I get to hang out and meet all sorts of zany Milan characters all the time, and all through the summer we get tourists from all over the world coming to visit us. We're very lucky that we have musicians who come and volunteer to play at this coffee shop all day, every day, and it really does run the whole gamut. We have a wonderful rock band called Le Noir playing right now. Zafar and his friends come and play klezmer room music here every Monday from 3 until 5. We have a lot of jazz groups in here. We have a lot of folk groups in here. Sunday nights we have what's it called? Like an old time British Isles kind of folk music circle that happens. So like when you come in here, you have no idea what you're gonna get, and that's what makes getting to be here every day so exciting.
You've had some famous people play here.
Apparently, we have a few Montreal legends have started their careers in these four walls. I wasn't here for any of that, but the way I kind of see it is hopefully we are cultivating.
I remember at Mont-Seigneur was here.
Mont-Seigneur, we had Charlotte Cardin used to play here, I heard, when she was just a young kid. David Usher did a concert here last summer. That was wild.
Like Glen's secret garden by the train tracks. My land is full of surprises hiding in plain sight. Glen's world is part sculpture garden, part secret wonderland. His iron figures spill into the backyards and front lawns, celebrating the industrial landscape that defines my land. For decades, he's built these works without funding, quietly reshaping the neighborhood with imagination and steel. But now, as redevelopment threatens his building, his future here is uncertain. My land is a neighborhood of layers. Synagogues turned churches, artists turned icons, alleys turned into gardens. Each wave has left its trace, even as the next one moves in. And that's the beauty of my land. History isn't sealed in museum, it's lived every day on these streets by the people who call it home.
The thrill of the road does not end with a stroke. Come travel with us.
Please subscribe to our channel, Fierce Travel, and ring the bell for more notifications.
So do it.
If you want to do this trip, or if you want to book Leslie for a Jewish or Myland walking tour, look at the links below.